It is 2:43 in the morning. The room is dark, the bed is warm, and he is already awake. He lies still for a moment, hoping it will pass. It does not pass. He makes the trip, careful, slow, one hand on the wall, and climbs back into bed. He will be awake again in 2 hours. He has accepted this as part of getting older. His doctor has never told him otherwise. What his doctor has also never told him is that one thing he does every evening is making this significantly worse. There is a widespread assumption in medicine, not a deliberate gap, simply a product of how little time exists in a standard appointment, that nighttime urination, or nocturia, is a straightforward consequence of aging and is best managed with lifestyle adjustment, or, if serious enough, medication. What is far less commonly communicated is that nocturia in adults over 60 is frequently being driven or dramatically worsened by specific correctable evening behaviors that have nothing to do with the bladder itself. These behaviors feel healthy. They feel responsible. And for some people, they are the single most disruptive force against the deep, unbroken sleep that makes independence, energy, and cognitive clarity possible in later life. My name is Dr. Evan Noris. I am a urologist with 18 years of clinical experience, focused specifically on bladder health and sleep-related urinary dysfunction in older adults. What motivated this video is the number of patients I have seen reclaim their nights, and with them, their days, by changing habits no one had ever thought to question. After 60, the biology of nighttime urination shifts in ways that are important to understand, because without that understanding, the fixes I am going to share will not make intuitive sense. First, the kidneys begin to lose some of their ability to concentrate urine efficiently, meaning they produce more dilute urine over the course of a night than they used to. Second, antidiuretic hormone, the signal the brain sends to the kidneys at night to slow urine production during sleep, declines in its effectiveness after 60. Think of it like a volume dial that used to turn the tap down to a trickle at midnight, but now only turns it down halfway. Third, bladder capacity decreases and bladder wall sensitivity increases, meaning smaller volumes trigger the urge to go. And fourth, the depth of sleep itself decreases, meaning that a sensation which would not have woken you at 50 now surfaces into consciousness at 65. These four changes stack on top of each other. When you then add an evening behavior that loads additional fluid or bladder irritants into that already compromised system, the result is not just one waking, it is 2, 3, sometimes 4, and the deep restorative sleep that keeps your mind clear, your energy stable, and your balance reliable never fully arrives. This is not an inconvenience. Fragmented sleep at this level, sustained over months and years, has been linked in research published in journals including Sleep Medicine Reviews to measurably accelerated cognitive decline, increased fall risk, and reduced immune function. The stakes are real. Before we get into the 5 specific behaviors I want to walk you through, I want to ask you something. How many times on a typical night do you get up to use the bathroom? Just type the number in the comments. 1, 2, 3, or more. I genuinely want to understand where this community is starting from. Here is something I want you to hold in mind as we go. I am ranking these 5 points from least to most physiologically impactful, counting down to number 1. The one most people skip over, the final insight, is consistently the one that produces the biggest change in my patients. Stay with me through all 5, because the progression matters. Number 5 on our list is the timing and type of herbal teas consumed in the evening. This one surprises almost everyone, because herbal tea feels like the opposite of a problem. It is warm, it is calming, it is marketed specifically for relaxation and sleep preparation. And some herbal teas genuinely are beneficial for sleep onset. The issue is twofold. First, many popular herbal teas, including green tea, certain detox blends, and some chamomile combinations, contain low levels of caffeine or theophylline, a related compound that directly increases urine production by acting on the kidneys. Second, the volume of liquid consumed in the 2 hours before bed matters enormously, and 2 large mugs of tea add 300 to 400 milliliters of fluid to a system that is already ramping down its processing capacity for the night. A woman named Constance, a former landscape architect who had built a meticulous evening ritual around herbal tea and low lighting as a way of winding down, came to see me after 3 years of waking 2 to 3 times each night. She had tried everything she could find, limiting water at dinner, avoiding alcohol, and nothing had made a meaningful dent. When we looked at her evening routine, she was drinking 2 large mugs of a green tea and chamomile blend nightly, finishing the second one less than an hour before bed. Switching to a genuinely caffeine-free blend in a smaller cup, finished by 7:30, reduced her waking episodes by more than half within 2 weeks. The practical fix. Check the ingredient list of your evening tea, confirm it is genuinely caffeine and theophylline-free, and finish it at least 90 minutes before you intend to sleep. Number 4 is one that masquerades as cardiovascular discipline, and that is taking a full glass of water alongside evening medications or supplements. Many older adults take multiple medications in the evening, and the instruction to take pills with a full 8-ounce glass of water is so standard it has never been questioned. For medications where full hydration genuinely matters, this instruction is important. But for a significant portion of evening medications and nearly all supplements, a smaller volume of water is entirely sufficient to swallow them safely and ensure absorption. The difference between 8 ounces of water at 9 at night and 2 or 3 ounces is not clinically meaningful for the medication, but it is physiologically meaningful for the bladder of someone over 60 whose kidneys are now working with that reduced overnight concentration capacity. Clinical observation across a number of patients suggests that shifting to smaller volumes of water for evening medication and moving any supplements that do not require food to earlier in the day is a simple, zero-risk adjustment that reduces the overnight fluid load meaningfully. A man named Percival, a former marine surveyor who approached every problem with systematic precision, came to see me having already tracked his fluid intake meticulously in a notebook. He was the most prepared patient I had encountered in years. His total daytime hydration was excellent, but at 9 each evening, he was taking 6 supplements with a full glass of water, followed by a second glass out of habit. That 9 o'clock water load was appearing as a bladder signal consistently around midnight. Shifting to a small amount of water for his evening medications and moving several supplements to midday reduced his midnight waking by a significant margin within a month. The practical fix. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which of your evening medications genuinely require a full glass of water and which can be taken with significantly less. Number 3 involves something that has been universally praised for decades as a healthy habit, and that is eating a high-sodium dinner, even when it does not taste particularly salty. Sodium causes the body to retain fluid in the bloodstream and tissues during the hours after eating. As the evening progresses and the body begins to approach a horizontal position for sleep, that retained fluid shifts. Fluid that was sitting in the legs and lower body during upright hours begins to redistribute toward the core, increasing the volume that the kidneys must now process. Research from Nagasaki University, published in the journal Nutrients in 2017, found a significant association between high salt intake and nocturia frequency in older adults, and found that salt reduction produced meaningful reductions in nighttime urination episodes in participants who reduced their dietary sodium. Think of it like a slow-release reservoir. The sodium holds the water in the tissues during the evening, and then the kidneys receive it all at once when you lie down. A woman named Beatrix, a former radio journalist with a sharp and curious mind, who arrived at every appointment having already read whatever she could find on her condition, came to see me frustrated that hydration limits had not improved her nights. She was disciplined about water, careful, measured, but her evening meals, which she shared at a restaurant several times a week, were consistently high in sodium. Broth-based soups, cured meats, sauces with added salt. Her fluid load was not coming from the glass, it was coming from the plate. Shifting toward lower sodium evening meals reduced her nocturia episodes from 3 per night to 1 within 6 weeks. The practical fix. Pay as close attention to the sodium content of your dinner as you do to your water intake. The two work together, and ignoring one while managing the other is an incomplete strategy. If you are still with me, type the word sleep in the comments right now. This tells me the people who genuinely need this information are staying through to the most important parts. Number 2 is the evening habit almost no one connects to nighttime urination, and that is sitting or reclining for 3 or more hours in the evening without any lower body movement. When we sit or recline for extended periods, fluid accumulates in the legs and feet due to gravity and reduced circulation. This is mild, normal, and often invisible. You might notice slight puffiness in the ankles, or your shoes feeling slightly tighter in the evening, and think nothing of it. But when you lie down for sleep, that accumulated fluid, which can represent several hundred milliliters of volume, depending on the individual, redistributes into the circulation and is processed by the kidneys within the first 1 to 2 hours of sleep. For someone whose nighttime kidney output is already elevated by age-related hormonal changes, this fluid redistribution is a significant additional load, arriving precisely when the bladder is least equipped to buffer it quietly. A man named Ruben, a former documentary filmmaker who spent his evenings reviewing footage and correspondence, while reclined in a chair he described as the most comfortable object he had ever owned, came to see me with a consistent pattern. 1 bathroom trip between midnight and 1 in the morning, without fail, regardless of what he had drunk in the evening. When we talked about his evenings, he spent 4 to 5 hours with his legs elevated, or at the same level as his hips, minimally mobile. 2 brief evening walks, 15 minutes each, 1 before dinner and 1 an hour after, moved the fluid through his system before he lay down, rather than while he slept. His consistent midnight waking disappeared within 3 weeks. The practical fix: take at least 1 gentle 10 to 15-minute walk in the early evening, and avoid extended stationary sitting in the 2 to 3 hours before bed. Movement is drainage. And number 1, the single most impactful and most consistently overlooked driver of nighttime urination in adults over 60 is the timing of the majority of daily fluid intake. Most people know they should stay hydrated. Most people over 60 have been told by at least one doctor to drink more water, and so they drink, often front-loading their hydration in the afternoon and evening because the morning was busy, or because thirst finally catches up with them later in the day. The result is that the kidneys receive the bulk of the day's fluid processing work in the 4 to 6 hours before sleep. Research from the field of chronobiology and renal function, including clinical observations from groups studying circadian rhythm and kidney output, has documented that the kidneys have a natural circadian processing rhythm. They are designed to handle higher fluid volumes during daylight hours and reduce output at night. When fluid intake is concentrated in the evening, that rhythm is disrupted, and the kidneys produce overnight volumes they were never meant to manage. A woman named Viola, a former cellist who had played with a professional orchestra for 30 years, and who described her relationship with discipline and timing as fundamental to who she was, came to see me baffled. She was drinking less than anyone she knew, she told me, and still waking 3 times a night. When we mapped her fluid intake across the day, she was consuming less than 2 cups before noon, and then catching up from 4 in the afternoon onward. Her body was processing an entire day's fluid load during the exact hours she needed her kidneys to quiet down. Shifting 70% of her fluid intake to before 2 in the afternoon, and drinking only small sips after dinner, reduced her nightly wakings from 3 to 1 within a month, and to occasional within 2. This single change, more than any other, produces the most consistent transformation in the patients I work with. The practical fix: drink the majority of your daily fluid before 2 in the afternoon. Keep a glass of water at breakfast, at mid-morning, and at lunch. After dinner, small sips only. Hydration is not just about how much, it is about when. Here's what I want you to do starting tonight. Move your evening tea to a confirmed caffeine-free blend and finish it by 7:30. Take your evening medications with a smaller volume of water and ask your pharmacist which ones genuinely require a full glass. Look at your dinner sodium honestly, not just your water glass. Take a 15-minute walk before or shortly after dinner to move the fluid out of your legs before bed. And starting tomorrow morning, drink deliberately and steadily through the first half of your day. These are not extreme changes. They are small, specific, achievable adjustments to a daily rhythm that has likely never been examined from this angle. Each one individually will help. Together, they can genuinely give you your nights back. Everything I have shared today is meant to open a conversation with your own physician, not to replace one. Your medications, your kidney function, your bladder health, and any underlying conditions all shape what the right approach is for you individually. Please bring these points to your doctor. They are a partner in this, and this information is meant to make that conversation more productive. And if reclaiming your sleep has you thinking about what else fragmented nights are costing your health, the next thing I want to share with you is how poor sleep quality at 60 plus directly affects blood sugar regulation, and what 3 evening habits can help stabilize it overnight.